Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 160 of the Geek Bytes podcast. I'm Ramon Mejia.
Mahalo once and all. My name is Edgardo Acosta.
And every single podcast we bring you the roundup of the week's best Geek and Tech news. We discuss that news, of course, anything else we happen to be interested in this week. And in Geek News this week, we have some great stories, including...
And this week we'll talk about the entertainment new, including the new photos from Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2. But mostly we'll be gabbing about, of course, E3. E3 happened this weekend.
Yeah, it happened last weekend, and it was really fun. All kinds of great stuff. We were doing other things, but it had a great time with it. So we're going to talk about this week, showing a bunch of trailers. We're also going to talk about a little bit of entertainment news. Of course, we begin the show with that. That's a different level.
It's THX, man.
Yeah.
The audience is listening.
Like there's the mic way up there. Got louder than that.
Yeah.
Okay, back to us. Hey.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Okay, so our first story in Geek News is going to be one that's a little bit controversial, but this guy totally wanted to talk about it.
I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, he's the host, and he gets to decide what we talk about as well. So the first story is about Chris Hardwick, who's an international nerd and geek. He co-founded the Nerdist Network, sold it to Legendary Entertainment. Chris Hardwick is facing career follow amid allegations that by his ex-girlfriend, actress Chloe Dykstra, actress is a stretch, that he sexually and emotionally abused her. In addition to the Nerdist website wiping all mention of Hardwick as a co-founder, AMC said Saturday it has suspended his show Talking with Chris Hardwick. Again, that's his personal chat show, basically, not The Talking Dead or any of those other shows, while it assesses the accusations against him. The cable network also said Hardwick will step aside from moderating AMC and BBC America panels at Comic-Con this year at the International San Diego Convention next month. In a nicely posted Thursday on Medium, Dykstra described her almost 3-year relationship with an older celebrity who she said imposed strict rules on her behavior. Dykstra, 29 currently, wrote that he forbid her from having male friends to speak in public or to go out at night with him. Without him, rather, and that she let him sexually assault her on multiple occasions. Quote unquote, every night I laid there for him, occasionally in tears, she wrote. She didn't mention Hardwick by name, describing him as someone who grew up from a mildly successful podcaster to a powerhouse CEO of his own company instead. People put the clues together. Dykstra said that after she left him for another man, her ex called companies she had worked for and threatened to not work with them unless they parted ways with her. In a statement made the next day, Chris Hardwick said that his relationship with Dykstra was not perfect. We were ultimately not a good match, but denied ever sexually assaulting her. He also said, I am devastated to read that she is now accusing me of conduct that did not occur, he said. I was blindsided by her post and always wanted the best of her. As a husband, as a son, and a future father, I do not condone any kind of mistreatment of women. Hardwick, who dated Dykstra from 2011 to 2014, said that he ended the relationship because she was unfaithful. So there we go. That is the story. And your thoughts, man?
So what do you think? I honestly want my an opinion, because I could say, she's this, she's that, she's blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, I like to see both sides of the coins. So what do you think? Bitter? Like it was just a bad relationship, it just didn't work out, and then this is her vengeful side coming out? Or it was just literally just a bad relationship and it just didn't work out? He's, at least what he described was like trying to take the higher ground, saying, you know what, we just didn't click, we just didn't connect, and she just ventured off that route.
It could be either or. I mean, you never are really going to know the truth unless somebody has videotape evidence or something. The default mode for a lot of people on the internet is guilty until proven innocent, especially in the case of sexual assault in this case, or at least those allegations and claims. It has been multiple years, 4 years since their relationship broke up, and it was very public. I mean, they were a very public couple at the time. He was on the Nerdist, and he was on Attack of the Show. He's doing a lot of podcasting, stand-up shows galore, and he never really talked about why they broke up. But it was always a big thing for him, like, that someone should be faithful and they should not cheat on each other. So his accusations of cheating ending their relationship kind of make sense to me. I also have, I'll be honest, I'm probably biased towards Chris Hardwick just because you let somebody into your life through podcasting or television or through whatever for like years and years, you kind of feel like you know them to some degree, even though we all don't. And so it's like, he's a guy who's never seemed to be of that particular character, but you never know what people are like behind doors. It could be very much the case that she's absolutely telling the truth and that all these things occurred, or that it could be true to some degree because, again, there was a 20-year gap between them two, and she was in her early 20s at that point. And so she wanted a party. She wanted a drink. And she wanted to, go out and have a good time with other dudes, potentially. And that might not have been things that he was cool with. And so her interpretation of those particular actions might have affected her in some way. She also might have other issues, as he does. I mean, Chris Roddick has always been very open about his battle with alcoholism and how he's been sober for a very long time. And part of that sobriety is like, not hanging around people who drink a lot or who drink at all. Those are choices, to have to make to keep yourself sober. And so some of the things she says, again, might be true. They might be entirely true. It just might be something in the middle between both of their statements.
No, I totally understand, because to me, he, at least to at least the media that he's exposed himself to by podcasts and whatnot, he's been pretty open booked about everything from his alcoholism, growing up, through having his dad around when he wasn't around, when he passed away and all that, everything that he's been exposed to. I'm going to be honest, at least from the podcast that I have listened to, not much about his relationship, past relationship. I'm going to say, and this is just me saying, I'd have probably courtesy / respect for previous relationships, because don't get me wrong, we've all, I don't know about you personally, but I've had bad girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, relationships when they went horribly wrong. Some of them when they just, we just didn't work out. You thought you saw something in one person and obviously didn't work out. And then there's the vengeful ones, so like, I hate your guts, I wish you were dead, blah, blah, blah. But then it will break down and go like, I miss you. And they want to talk to you and that kind of stuff. And this is like, But when it comes in an imperfection world, especially with all the allegations that previous celebrities had, we're talking about, of course, Louis Anderson, Mr. Weinstein himself. I could go down the list with other people and whatnot. And he's the most recent one. He's, at least for media-wise, he's the most recent one that's getting the quote-unquote screw job that he's getting. Like, I think I understand as
without any evidence put forward. Like, he's besides her statements, he's losing jobs.
Exactly. As a media, as a company, as a corporation, to protect their quote-unquote product. I understand the whole, like, kind of like trying to separate themselves from that person, like Roseanne, for allegations of what she has said.
Well, not allegations. She actually said it on Twitter, and there's actually physical proof that she said it and that she's had this behavior for quite a bit part of her life. Those aren't accusations. Those are facts.
Okay, I'm going to go with total legitness on that part, because with Chris Hardwick, obviously, he wasn't on a drunken rant. He wasn't, at least to the best of our knowledge.
At this point, he said, she said.
Yeah, exactly. Bitter girlfriend that just obviously, which surprises me till now. I understand there's a period where if you gone through some horrible things, you don't go the very next day like, oh, he did this to me, or he blah 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 blah. Everybody goes through their things and whatnot. But it's like just now, out of nowhere, this guy, out of all the people, it shows pretty much. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a media mogul, if you're a media owner of some things, if you're a celebrity of some type of whatever, everybody's vulnerable when it comes to the world of a relationship-wise. Be careful. Honestly, be careful who you pretty much getting yourself involved with, because it's a little bit of a relationship thing there.
The inference that you're making is that what she's saying is probably not true, if that's what I'm getting from you, basically. It appears like she's a vengeful girlfriend.
I'm sad to say I'm going to go with that route.
And I'll be honest, like, the thoughts have crossed my mind that, maybe this is just a media ploy, or like a ploy for attention, because her career, so far as I'm aware, isn't doing amazing. Like, the height of her career was when she was on The Nerdist with Chris Hardwick, when she was dating him. Yeah, she would be on specials. She would be like a cosplay special. She would host the shows, different episodes, and that really boosted her career as far as like being in the public eye on cable television. And now, ever since they broke up, her career has kind of taken a dive, and she's just gone back to being kind of a Twitch cam girl and doing modeling, and which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But that is some of people's points of view. But at the same time, it can take years, or sometimes decades, for a woman to talk about traumatic events that occur in their lives, right? Especially people in general. So that could also be the case. Like I said, my natural inclination is to say, Chris Hardwick, I know that guy. He's not like that, but I don't really know the guy.
Yeah,
you would think the same thing about Bill Cosby. You know, a decade ago, nobody would have ever thought that was the case.
Because he's like America's dad.
You know, being the Cosby Show, but him as a persona on a character on a television show is not the same as him in real life necessarily, as has been proven by evidence in court cases and actual documents and people's testimony accounts in galore. So it can go either way. I'm more than happy to not have a firm opinion until evidence actually comes to the case one way or the other. They've both made their statements at this point, and I would be like, oh, just go make an accusation and go to the police then if it's
exactly.
a thing, you know what I mean? And
exactly,
take it from there if this is the case. But I don't also want at the same time say she's not telling the truth just because it's Chris Hardwick. I mean,
exactly.
There have been nicer people who have done worse things in life.
It just catches me a bit surprised that, Chris Hardwick, out of all the people, especially a lot of people that have been pretty open book, and in this case, in my mind, Chris Hardwick has been. Now, what do you think? Obviously, anybody's vulnerable by this point. Anybody that you could think of, just random celebrity-wise, who do you think is next?
You don't know. That's kind of the idea. That's the point, is that you never know who people are behind closed doors and what they do in their bedrooms or what kind of person they are in private. And that's just reality. And like I said, this is just kind of a conversational point of being able to disclose to people and not necessarily taking them, because the default position for many women and for many people who make accusations like this, like, oh, they're automatically accused of being liars or fabricators or people who are making this up or being jealous. And so the inclination that people are going the other direction is just a sign of where we are as a community in the world. So whether it's true or not, like I said, I reserve judgment on them finally until actual evidence is presented one or the other. But this has just been kind of the big story of the weekend between the two of them.
Now, have you ever had an experience of a quote-unquote vengeful ex-girlfriend?
Nope. I've had very few relationships in the first place, and that's so.
I'm not going to throw your numbers out there, but really,
yeah. I mean, every relationship I've had has been very, pretty civil, even as it ended or divorced, and so I don't have that experience, but I don't say that it's not true. I understand that happens to people on a fairly regular basis, where you have emotional stakes and you feel hurt and you want to lash out and you want to hurt someone back. So I understand those concepts. I've just never experienced that personally. So there you go.
You lucked out. Because I have gone through the personal that went out. They were literally out for blood for me. And it's just like, depending on what you've gone through personally on when it comes in the world of relationships with the next person being whatever that they were, thankfully has been worked out, and thankfully hasn't inquired the law.
That's good.
Okay.
That's never good.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do the transition.
Next story, just from other entertainment news real quick. We have the first photos or some new photos, I should say, from the Aquaman set. We have Aquaman's mom, Aquaman's queen. We also have a look at Black Manta, the first look at Black Manta, and Wade Master, I think his name is. Yeah,
so they decided to go with... I feel uncomfortable saying a black guy or African American.
Black Manta should be black.
A person with a darker...
It's in the name.
Skin.
That was kind of the point. That Black Manta was black. He was like one of the only black people in Atlantis, and so I'm like, yeah,
what would be different than a black person than an Indian person with darker skin?
Black Panther should not be black. Like, no, it's in the name. It's part of the image and the culture and the character. That's it's very perfect to keep them so.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going with Black Manta. His Manta helmet, it's good.
Yeah, but it looks like I thought it would.
It's kind of missing an edge for me. Like, did you ever watch
like it doesn't look like the original comic where it's like a little, like more spaceshipy?
True.
Pulls out a little bit.
Did you ever watch the? I want to say it's the most current version of the Teen Titans version cartoon. Did you ever watch that?
I've seen Teen Titans.
Aqualad.
Yeah, Aqualad. Yeah, I know the
and they showed
son of Black Mantas.
Yeah, and they showed
where he has the water manipulation powers. Yeah, I've seen that version.
Exactly. This one just seems a little rounded out because the eye part.
Well, no, because they're always trying to base it in the reality. It's like, oh, this is what he would use potentially to make this thing, and We'll see how it actually turns out. But I mean, that's not even if it's a prototype.
Exactly.
It's just a thing. So we'll have to see how it actually looks in the full suit, whether it looks weird or not. They can always CG out later or change it.
Yeah, because even the original version, it's always been like really
like this clamshelly kind of thing.
It literally, yeah, really big, really bulky, with the whole big, huge tubes.
And Wade Master just looks like himself. I mean, it's just nothing special about it. Honestly, I was more impressed by the Black Manta headpiece. I'm like, oh, there you go. I recognize that.
I don't know what the red and white
looks like.
I don't want to say
piece of technology. You see some cords here, some wires. Maybe that's going to be a weapon. It looks just
like really bad CG, but
no,
we'll see how it turns out.
All this here is practical.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's some nice pieces. So
at least go in front of the pictures of it. It's almost like a infinity scarf / black frame glasses becoming very hipster kind of look to it.
Could be.
Because, I'm surprised he doesn't have his hair literally in a hair bun style kind of look to himself.
Yeah.
But this is just me. When it comes down to when you're literally describing an under aquatic race, it's like you can't really put a color to each individual what they should look like. So
I feel like they should all be green. That'll like just take away all that.
Actually makes
all
sense.
Those issues, to be honest. Okay, we have some more pictures from a different movie, from Wonder Woman 2. One on the bottom is the most recent, with Wonder Woman in her new 1980s version of her outfit, which is apparently a brighter, a little more burnished. I honestly can't really tell the difference just looking at this picture when compared to the Wonder Woman 1. Oh, okay, I guess this is a little brighter.
It's not dramatic, especially for being the quote-unquote 80s. I'm surprised it's not Aquanet hair where it's the big bangs and everything.
That would be more likely, yeah.
Explain to me, because I'm going to be putting it out there. I did not read the headlines or whatnot or any further details about the, I want to say the boyfriend.
You mean Steve Trevor?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. He died in the first movie, saving everybody. But he's been brought back from the past before. He could be a clone. He could be a shapeshifter.
Exactly. That's why
he could just be in her imagination at this point. Although he is wearing sneakers, which would not be things that he would necessarily be wearing if he was just in her imagination. Like I said, or it could just be they could have just time traveled. I mean, it's the comics. I mean, it's not unheard of to do that kind of thing. Like, he was pushed forward into the future from that weird chemical explosion.
So what do you think? Okay, your interpretation. Why would he be brought back into the world of the 80s?
I'm going to go with clone.
Really?
That's to me, yeah. I mean, 1980s. I'm like, why not? It's the 80s. It could be. I'm more impressed by the clothing choices of the other people around them.
In the background.
Like, these all film very time specific. I'm like, oh yeah, they got that right.
It's like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, you see all the hairs over here in the back. Yeah,
the hair. Like I said, once again, the Aquanet and all that stuff. I'm surprised I'm seeing a lack of neon colored clothing on a lot of people.
Pink over here,
but there's the thigh-high socks and all that. Yeah. So obviously, I have seen, but I'm gonna be honest, I did not complete watching Wonder Woman.
I'm pretty sure we saw it here together. Oh no, you weren't here that weekend. It was on Mother's Day. We all watched it here as a family, and you just didn't show up.
I was the family that was recovering from working a long shift and trying to recover.
And this is Father's Day, so it's okay. You're here. You're here, and happy Father's Day, man, and to all the fathers out there. So there you go. Okay, so those are new Wonder Woman picks.
Yeah, I'm surprised they, even though it's an 80s, quote unquote 80s look for the Wonder Woman outfit.
Well, they don't want to change her hair too much because then she
dramatically, I said, Aquanet. Aquanet to me, the 80s is Aquanet.
I think they might show her that way, like during some party scene or something. But they definitely want to keep that same uniform look between the original Wonder Woman and Justice League. They want to keep that same kind of look. I mean,
yeah, because even if
honestly, where did she find the hair curlers in the first Wonder Woman? I mean, as she's going across the battlefield,
she would have
her hair was perfect. That was always a good thing. From I would have liked the grittier version, which was in the original before the recuts. But
especially an 80s woman, Wonder Woman would have been like totally and for sure. I'm kind of curious to see
where Cheetah comes in. That's supposed to be her foe.
Is that Kristen Wiig? Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig's gonna be Cheetah.
Now, do you think is she gonna be serious or she'll bring in her comedic?
Well, the rumors that she's her friend at the beginning of the movie. That she starts out as Wonder Woman's friend.
Hey, we're cool, and suddenly you're a bitch.
and then she turns into a villain as she like transforms or something. Maybe something with the chemicals that transform her, make her evil or something. You know, all of the Joker or something.
Obviously, we don't know what she's gonna look like. Do you think she's actually gonna? Her body's gonna adapt the cheetah-looking like leopard?
They're gonna CGI her
cheetah
up.
Leopard,
and they're gonna CGI her up. She's gonna have leopard
spots.
skin, and she's gonna have claws and everything. She might be able to transform so they can keep Kristen Rick's face.
Animalistic.
Yeah, animalistic. They're gonna,
okay.
They're gonna go on like full on humanoid lady with claws and
right now because
cheetah skin.
Okay. Right now, that nobody knows what she looks like. Do you think animalistic, as in from head to toe, all of it, or she's actually gonna have some kind of clothing?
I'm gonna go head to toe animalistic. It just seems easier to like just CGI the whole thing, and rather than just parts of her and make her wear weird clothes.
That totally makes sense. I think it's going to eventually be. I don't think the word is proper.
I'm just thinking genetic mutation. Like that's
no, totally.
This particular movie is like genetic manipulation, which means like cloning, and then like combining with animal products or animal people.
Now that's going to be the biggest thing, because depending if the hardcore geek, and especially in the movie world, they're going to tap into it. How is she going to eventually become a cheetah hybrid, if you will?
Genetic manipulation. Like they're going to do genetic combining between her and a cheetah, whether it's accidental or on purpose, or maybe that's what she does as a scientist. They'll science her up. The character Cheetah, and she'll test it on herself, and she becomes stronger because she wants to help people, but it has unintended consequences to genetic manipulation, and she becomes more and more cheetah-like, predatory, looking to hunt people, and Wonder Woman comes in to stop her from murdering people.
Now, in your world, I'm asking your world because I'm throwing out the options on there. Do you think a blood transfusion / some kind of like exposure to cheetah rays or whatnot?
I'm thinking actual genetic manipulation, like it's some formula. Think along terms of like Spider-Man getting injected with something and he becomes Spider-Man. So in this case, it's cheetah, and
like a hybrid cheetah that bit her.
No, I think they're doing genetic testing on hybrid animals. I mean, this genetics has been around since like 1840.
The genetic part we understand, but the interaction, if you will, of a cheetah in human. Does that mean she gets bitten?
No,
Does she get injected?
I think she's injected.
Okay, there you go. That's the part.
She doesn't need to be. I'm petting by a radioactive cheetah.
Okay, exactly. Okay, that's what the part I wanted, because I'm petting a cheetah and suddenly, oh no, I'm a cheetah too.
Danny Martinez says he's still here taking E3 out. I don't know what that means.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll talk about it when we get there.
We'll get there, man. So, yeah. Anyways, last little bit of story before we get into E3. Lucifer was insane from cancellation by Netflix. They're going to renew the 4th season of the comic series in May. So in May, you're going to get either somebody to film or production on Lucifer season number 4.
Now, did you like it?
I saw the first part of the first season. I thought it was entertaining. It just wasn't great to me as a detective show. A lot of people liked it. They thought season 3 maybe you dropped the ball a little bit. The drop in ratings kind of also indicated that as well. But there were enough fan support that somebody else picked it up. So this is another case of somebody picking up something someone loves. In this case, it's Lucifer. So there.
Okay, to me, it's eventually a good-looking guy that a lot of women put the explicit lyric or whatever words. Fuckable. He's pretty much a guy that a lot of girls wanted to.
It wasn't just women. I mean, people like that.
Okay,
show.
guys like to fuck with the guys too. But to me, he was a very handsome man. Very handsome. The whole thing. He was very how would I describe it? Casanova-ish. In the way he would just, be able to manipulate, and that was part of his character, manipulate ladies, if not men's minds, of having his way to get across. It's weird to describe it with a detective storyline on how to solve a crime. It's like, you want to tell me what happened, and eventually
he's the tempter. I mean, that's what Lucifer's persona kind of comes with. But it's supposed to be replacing shows like Castle, where there's a romance, but you can't have a romance until at least season 3 or 4.
You want this, but you can't have this.
It was fine. It wasn't my kind of show, but I'm happy that somebody's fan show got saved. It's good for the people who are going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm glad on Netflix, and honestly, Netflix had become the savior, and I'll pull that word out there, savior when it comes to a lot of shows. And we haven't had it in a show for the past week or so, and I think Roseanne, the whole Roseanne thing happened between that gap. Right now, there's talks about
maybe redoing it with without Roseanne, basically.
With the whole Darlene storyline.
You could do it. I mean, that's a bunch of stuff that I don't really care about. I didn't really like the reboot, anyways. It was.
Really?
I mean,
You didn't like it?
It's fine. Like
to me, it was like a lack of Roseanne for being the Roseanne show.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like it's okay if they save it, they save it. They don't. It doesn't affect me at all. Like, oh, okay, but it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, yeah, she's always kind of been that way. She's been kind of racist and willing to like say things whether she means them or not. If it's a joke or if it's just like a twist on her political humor. She's been that way for a very long time. So why is anybody surprised? I don't know. Why does this push him over the ledge? I don't know.
I'm going to call it a joke, and I'm going to throw it out there. The whole thing where she's like, I was on Ambien, and I couldn't, say what I was, what
like Ambien's response. It was like, side effect of Ambien is not racism.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's been a lot of things I've recorded of people supposedly being on Ambien and doing things, and they had no recollection in their mind of them doing that thing.
Yeah.
But really, racism, you don't remember about talking about,
and there's definitely other instances of like her being that way. So, be whatever way you want to in life.
So what do you think?
In our world, it's apparently more acceptable to be openly that way. But that's life.
Okay, in your mind, what do you think? A woman of her age, and I want to say she's in around 60s/70s, with her work schedule, what she's doing, even if it's on something she wanted to do or not, do you think she's responsible for her own actions as an individual?
As like a regular human who's an adult? Yeah, I think she should be responsible for her own actions.
Thank you.
These are just consequences. I mean, she made a statement. She thought she could get away with it. She thought it was going to be under humor umbrella. Mm-hmm. And the studio decided separately. Like, they decided otherwise. And I personally I'm happy they made the decision because blatant racism should not be accepted. I'm not sure why it still is. Yeah. But totally. That's a consequence of you choosing to do a thing. Now another entertainment news. Green Lantern. Jeff Johns is stepping down as DC Entertainment President and Chief Creative Officer. He's going to be writing and producing the Green Lantern Corps movie. And he has said recently this past weekend that he's going to be putting both Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, in the same movie. So we're actually going to kind of get a reboot of the Green Lantern franchise.
Okay, I've never followed the comic version. I don't know if they ever did an animated version of the, I want to say the transition, if you will, from Hal Jordan.
Well, no, they've had him in the same place at the same time before. They've had
No. It existed in it's in the Justice League animated series, being either the television/movie version. But I don't know how, if not they existed, because I think Hal Jordan obviously is the original Green Lantern, at least for the protector of the Earth realm.
No, Earth has like 3 Green Lanterns for some reason.
Exactly. I don't know who the other ones are.
Considering you're supposed to have like 1 Green Lantern per quadrant or something.
Exactly. So he eventually ventures off and takes care of the quadrant, at least that he's responsible. And John Stewart takes advantage, if not responsibility of Earth and whatnot. But once again, I have not caught the comic version / animated version, so I don't know all the details on that part. But everybody loves to know. Okay, we all seen the Ryan Reynolds, and he even admitted himself, the Green Lantern movie that came out. Not to the greatest reviews for some people. Honestly, I personally have. You watched it?
Yeah, I've seen him.
I've
seen
watched it. Man. I liked it. Maybe not have fallen in love with it, and not have buried it other hardcore fans have.
That movie sucked. I mean, it really did.
Thank you.
It sucked, man. It's not, I mean, there's no like. I mean, when the actor himself says that this movie sucked, and he in his Deadpool 2 like post-credit scenes murders himself to stop himself from playing that role.
I thought it was just for Deadpool.
No,
because I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the Deadpool 2, right?
Yes, but my review for Green Lantern, honestly, it's not that it was the hero Green Lantern was a bad character in the movie. Honestly, I thought it was the villain that made the movie worse.
No, it was. I mean, his character, him being Green Lantern, is fine. It was he has the inappropriate sense of humor. His acting is probably not as serious as it should have been for the character. The villain kind of sucked though, and it kind of ruins without a good villain, without a good story behind Green Lantern, it's just kind of this thing, and it was a little too campy for a lot of people, and like I said, the story just didn't work, which is unfortunate.
Now, John Stewart.
What about him?
Okay, I don't know what much of the best of your knowledge of us at being either the comic book world version, if not the animated version of John Stewart origin story that you know of being the Green Lantern.
He gets the ring, and he was a former Marine, and he joins the Corps. That's all I can remember from like the comics, or from like mostly from the animated series.
Okay.
So that's kind of it. I'm not sure what they're going to do with this. I'm just happy to see that they're both going to be there. Okay, E3.
Okay, because I was going to say villains and all that.
Yeah, no.
Who would you bring in the whole?
Well, you're doing the Corps, so you can kind of do anybody you want to. I'm hoping for
Grog.
He'll be in there. I mean,
no. I was gonna say because Grog in the movie version, he's no longer around with us. The at least actor to portray the voice of.
I don't think anyone cares if like it's the same voice. Wow. He's a CGI character, isn't he?
Yeah.
So anybody can play the voice of a character who's still alive in the universe.
Who do you think would do the voice of Grog in the new version, quote unquote, remake /
anybody?
Whatever. Who would you want?
He's not the character that I care about the most. I mean, having good villains, I think they should do the division of the different rings. Like you should have the green ring, and then you should have a war with the red rings and the blue rings, and you could have an entire situation that could very easily be a 3-part series movie for the Green Lantern Corps.
Storyline, great, but who would you want for?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't follow that series too much. I like the idea of like a war between the rings.
Okay.
It was very Lord of the Rings kind of idea-ish concept.
Especially there. You got 10, right? If I'm right.
10 colors?
No. If I'm right in the, correct me if I'm wrong, in the world of Green Lantern or whatnot, it's supposedly 10 rings, or is it 5?
I don't recall. I mean, I know there were different colors for different emotions, like oranges,
like white, yellow,
oranges. Responding to like emotions. So green is will, blue is I want to say like peace or something. Red is anger or hate. Orange is greed. Yellow is fear. Black is death. White is life. And there might be some other colors though that I'm not aware of. I know they've rebooted it a few times, even in that respect. So plenty of storylines to take care of the entire core thing. Could also just be. I think they're saying they're going to do it as a lethal weapon in space movie.
Oh my god! So that means they're eventually going to replace the I think it's Hicks guy or whatever in the mid.
They
eventually,
they might. Yeah.
Damon Wayans might be like, oh fuck this guy. Let's get somebody else eventually.
That's what John Stewart is probably going to do now.
Exactly.
Okay. E3 Spectacular. A lot of good stuff. We're basically going to show a bunch of great trailers. We're going to talk about how we feel about them, the things we're excited about. We'll begin with the Nintendo Entertainment announcements. There were actually some really good games that I really liked. The ones that I thought were really cool were Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which is the new version of the Pokemon franchise, which is supposed to be coming and actually working with Pokemon Go to incorporate actually the Pokemon you capture on your phone with Pokemon Go are going to be able to be imported into Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and in that particular game. And so you should actually be able to, do both.
Okay, so Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee.
Yeah, this is actual gameplay footage of the game.
Same game, or is it just two different options of the game?
No. Remember for like the 3DS, they had different versions of Pokemon. They had gold and yellow and silver and a bunch of different colors, and each one had different Pokemon in there that you could capture. So if you wanted to capture them all, you had to buy multiple versions of them, or at least trade with people who had a different copy of the game than you. So then you could actually capture them all by either trading or playing the game on multiple saves.
Which is true, because in the Pikachu version, of course you had Raichu and them involved.
Yeah.
But when it came to the world to Eevee, you had one. There's the dark one, the ice.
Yeah,
fire,
Eevee,
lightning.
The basic Eevee could evolve into different versions depending on which evolution stone you used on it. And so I think that just shows which character you be using as your starter, basically. So if you have Pikachu version, you start off with Pikachu. If you have the Eevee version, you start off with Eevee. And that also might change the number of other Pokemon. It might even be slightly different storylines. But this is supposed to be a cooperative gameplay. Like you should have multiple people using the controllers. In the game footage that we're showing here on the video version of the podcast, you actually see live gameplay footage where someone's just using half of the Joy-Con controller from the Nintendo Switch. So like you only need to use one, but at the same time you could also use the peripheral, which is a Pokeball, to do the same kind of capturing technique. Yeah. And this particular version of the game, you're not battling the Pokemon to capture them. You're really using that Pokemon Go version of capturing them, where it's just, you give them treats and you give them fruits to make it more likely to capture them, and then you throw your Pokeball, even if you're using that's like a really tiny peripheral where you press the button and you throw it, and it'll actually register on your game system that you're doing it. And even when you're doing, you can actually use it with Pokemon Go when you're walking around. It'll vibrate when Pokemon are around, and you can do it through your game thing as well.
Which obviously involves not walking around the world to do.
No, yeah.
So that was the thing with the Pokemon Go. You literally had to travel outside your own home space.
Yeah,
to
and again, both of them both of them were going to work together. So they worked with Niantic to make them both cross compatible to a degree.
Now, one part I'm surprised they haven't done, because they have done for the Pokemon Go version for the mobile device, is the eventually created a device where you were pretty much limited, but to create the whole striking concept of throwing the Pokeball to your Pokemon character to capture them. And I guess in this case, you're doing it virtually, where you literally just travel around through your via joystick.
No, you're doing it with your phone, with the joystick. So it was in one person's hand, and you'd actually have to like kind of flick your wrist. Pointing. Yeah, remember, it's also a motion controller. The little red and blue thing.
Effort of
and you could do it with a new peripheral they have, where it's a Pokeball, and you literally press a button to and then you throw it, without actually throwing it. You're like and it'll show on the screen, and you could actually have two players at once trying to capture the same Pokemon. It can be a 2-player up to a 4-player game on the same.
So they can fight for the same character.
You could help each other out, and you can both get it basically. But you can enhance each other's ability to capture monsters, and then you could also battle together. So this is also going to have a multiplayer component to it.
Now I wonder, in the world of the Nintendo Switch version, like in the world of the mobile version, if you literally would have to travel the world to get the legendary Pokemon that you can't get in your own homeland, if you will.
Potentially, I don't know. I mean, in this particular, again, this is the Switch game. I don't know that it has a geolocation feature to it. It might. I don't know. They haven't announced it that way. But
again,
it has
motion. I don't know.
But again,
go that
with
far.
the Pokemon Go version of it by Niantic, those Pokemon that are region locked are transmittable into the Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So anything you've captured there regionally, whether it's in Japan or Asia or wherever you are in the world, you can have those transferred into your Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee game.
All right.
So it could be fun. This is all kind of we've seen about this particular game so far, though.
I want to bring it up real quick before we do a transition. Okay, we talked about Pokemon Go when it was a thing, quote unquote, when it first started. Have you continued or have you stopped?
No, I stopped a long time ago. It was just too much effort to walk around. But I did for a little while. Like I walked around the neighborhood. I captured Pokemon, and it was kind of fun. It got me out of the house. It's just that it was just such a huge battery killer.
That's true. That's true.
It's just like, it's but it did get me exploring the neighborhood. Unfortunately, I don't live in the best neighborhood, so it was kind of weird.
Especially, we covered those stories where it was like horrible experience for some people, where literally people have fallen off cliffs.
Well, it's because they're not.
I don't know about to their death, but at least got really hurt.
Well, no, yeah, and then there are also big events where they're supposed to be rare Pokemon, like in New York City Park or somewhere, and there are thousands of people showing up there.
Where you got literally the shit out of you.
And those are just dumb people not paying attention.
But it was okay.
So, that's not the fault of the game.
Exactly, not fault of the game, if you will. It was fun, the experience of it and all that, especially when it was brought over to the.
I like the version of it where if you just go slow in your car, you can still capture the Pokemon.
Okay, I was one of those.
Yeah, that was my version.
Did that.
That was definitely my version, where I enjoyed it the most. It was like, not as the driver, obviously, but as the passenger. Yeah. Someone else driving, I'm like, okay, slow down right here, and hurry. Okay, I got it. Let's go to the next spot. And we go to gym or, Pokestop to capture stuff. Like I said, entertaining for a temporary amount of time, and it was free. You didn't have to pay for anything, so that's part of the appeal as well.
So still happening. I don't want to call it still currently a trend, especially now that it's bringing over to the Nintendo Switch. Maybe it'll pick up. But at least for legendary Pokemon, They exist if you're one of the lucky
I
ones.
think
that
if you
actually captured
get a
one.
prequel if you pre-order it, I think they're gonna give you they're gonna unlock Mewtwo in the game.
I want to say
so
it's
those
like
kind of
DLC
bonuses.
if you're willing to expend the
They might.
extra.
I mean, they might go
dollars.
microtransactions. You never know. I mean, that certainly worked for Niantic and Pokemon Go. That's for sure. But another really exciting game that came out at Nintendo's presentation was Smash Brothers Ultimate. And this one was kind of the one they spent a half an hour talking about. Like, this was supposed to be their big presentation, like, thing. And they showed off all the different characters that are going to show up there. And that's mostly what this is it's another Smash Brothers game. We just have a bunch of characters from the Nintendo universe. There are just like a lot. Like, there's a good 20 characters in here, obviously including Mario.
At least the basic ones that
I mean,
already
they named them,
the
yeah.
original series.
Samus.
But they have updated it
Kirby.
with the version of, like, let's throw... the updated version is, of course, of Bowser's that we're seeing right now. And, of course, Link, if you're playing the modern version of the Link... what was it called?
Swins of the... I remember something Windy Wildy.
Windy Wildy,
Yeah.
the Link series. Fox, Spring Back, you're going to see Falcor, Mega Man...
Like, these are characters you know, basically. Like, if you want to skip ahead to like ones you don't.
Okay, they brought back. Well, not brought back Mario. They have
They have
all of them. They have the Mario Maker
Snake,
game, and then there's
Pac-Man.
the Odyssey version.
Look at that.
Pac-Man.
Yeah.
They did bring.
They have Wario.
The newest version, I want to say, is the Ripley character from Metroid.
Bayonetta. I mean,
Bayonetta.
I'm surprised she showed up.
Version of Bayonetta, which I'm like, okay.
Oh, like they gave her clothes.
The whole, yeah, well, exactly. The whole version of her being brought to the Smash world, I was like, all right. So, okay, Rodin, I don't know where or from he is, but okay, Wario's a semi-classic character, if you will.
Yeah, Mega Man.
Mega Man, it's been cool.
Little Link,
They did bring back
Pikachu.
Ryu.
Yeah.
Of course, you got Samus, both with and without the suit. Peach, Donkey Kong, Pikmin,
Bomberman. I mean, you have Sonic. There's so many characters. Like, the one that people thought was going to be there that were sort of disappointed that wasn't was probably Luigio, whatever his name is, Evil Luigi.
Waluigi.
I don't remember what his name is. I know Wario. It's Evil Luigi.
Yeah, and I was thinking him they would be bringing out. Is there anybody that
But are you super excited for Smash Brothers? By the way.
Honestly, yes.
Are you really? I'm not a big fighter game anymore. Like, honestly, when I used to have friends who would come over for hours and hours and play games.
That's the only purpose.
It's a great sleepover party. But I'm a little older for sleepovers. You know what I mean?
That's honestly the only purpose that I like the Wario game, because I wanted to fight my friends.
Yeah,
and if we were to have it, I wanted to.
That's great. I mean, but that's like a 10-minute. That's like, oh, you play for 10 minutes, you beat each other up, and you're like, oh, okay, that was fun. What else?
No, but that's the thing is depending on your fighting quote unquote style.
That's been my experience. Like,
because okay, say we were to play the game, I beat you. That might. I don't know about you individually, but that part of you might be like, this ain't
okay
happening
with that,
until I win at least one game. This ain't settled.
Yeah, I'm cool.
So that's what
fine, man.
Exactly.
I'm not that competitive.
Exactly. That's
really
the part. But then you got those friends like, oh no, it's on. Yeah. And we keep playing it to the point that
you kind of have to make a thing. It has to be a party game. You have to like, oh, let's go. We're going to do this all night. We're going to have pizza. We're going to watch some movies in between rounds.
And that's the best. Part
you're going to have like 6 friends over.
Exactly.
Which is great. But I don't have 6 friends. I mean, I have you and I have some other people who, my wife, but nobody in real life, like who's going to come over to my house. Like I have people online.
I'll challenge you.
And that's fine. But that's going to be like maybe like a 30-minute entertainment bout that I spend $60 for like $30 for like 30 minutes worth of entertainment. You know what I mean? When I spend $60 on a game, I want to play it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours. You know what I mean?
That's the other part. If you're that individual, like to like take on literally the world. You're the guy that does the local competition to the point that you go.
No. I mean, those games have online components that you can do, and you can play with other people online. I don't really care that much. I mean, it's just not my game, to be honest. Like, I like the idea of like you fighting other characters, and if it was like $10, I'd probably pick it up. But it's not. It's like 60.
Okay,
you know what I mean? And so I'm more likely to spend the $10-20 on Street Fighter 2, which is like an older game, but it's so really good and also cheap. But I also don't feel guilty about like spending $60 for like just a couple minutes entertainment.
Okay, now that we're still semi-covering the world of the Nintendo Switch world coverage of the E3 conference that happened. Now, specifically the Smash.
Okay.
any character that you'd like to see in that world?
No. I mean, I don't. Like I said, if I don't care about the game, I don't care about who's showing up. But it was a really big thing for a lot of people. I understand that it is, which is why we're talking about it.
Not even Bubble Bubble.
I don't care. I mean, I don't play. I don't plan to play the game. I don't plan to buy it, so I don't care who shows up.
So now I know what not to get. There's no one.
There's no character that's going to make me want to buy this game. I definitely play it. Like if somebody else had it at their house, I'm like, hey, let's play it for 10 minutes.
Anybody that you're like, oh
no. I mean, because I don't. It's not like I'm so into it that I know their patterns or I know their weaknesses and strengths. I know a little bit about it. I played Smash Brothers before and it's fun.
Are you a Street Fighter guy at all?
Street Fighter is much more entertaining for me. Like the combos.
Ryu is in the Smash game.
That's great, but it's like not enough to make me pay $60 for it. Like there are other games that I would probably pay for. Like Fortnite is another game that Nintendo came out with.
Which is
it's always been on Xbox. It's already been on PS4. And it's just coming to the Nintendo Switch now. And
the only part about
since it was announced, over 2 million people have downloaded it for the Nintendo Switch. So it's a hugely popular multiplayer. And to me, this one's more fun than Smash Brothers because you get to do things. You get to make stuff. You have multiple gameplays. You get multiple modes.
The only thing that I kind of wish they had, and obviously because of legal
but even then, I stopped playing Fortnite a long time ago too because, again, I kind of ran out of things to do because I don't like playing with other people. I like the single player portion of it.
Yes.
And that was very limited for me.
Story mode.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
And it's just like, okay, that's fine. I never really. I mean, they kind of force you to play with other people and that you have other people come into the same setting and you play together.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just like, oh, okay. So but it always made sense to me why it should be on the Switch because that is very much a cooperative kind of game where you can take it on the go wherever you want to.
Totally.
And as long as you have Wi-Fi access, whether it's hooked up to your phone or to like someone's Wi-Fi network, it makes sense to play together.
Now the thing. You could have all the Wi-Fi access, whatever connection if you have, but you do have, depending on whoever your service provider / game console that you have to have in, let's say, in the world of Xbox, you have to have the Xbox. What's the saying? Well, obviously you're in the world of PlayStation. Okay, so what's PlayStation's version?
PlayStation Plus.
There you go. PlayStation Plus.
You mean
the Xbox,
Microsoft Gold?
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Microsoft
Gold,
the
online network,
and then there's what would it be? Nintendo's, because obviously I don't have Nintendo.
No, Nintendo with an online service. I don't
what they call it.
Not sure if they charge you for it. Or not.
They don't
like
have
their online version for it.
Switch Online or Switch.
I don't use it. I mean, I don't use the online settings for it. So I don't buy into it. So it's not a thing to me. But I know there's online versions. The same kind of network.
Yeah,
and that's where PlayStation was kind of getting into a little bit of trouble. And that PlayStation wasn't allowing people who had PS4 accounts to use that same account on the Nintendo because they didn't want to share information. Basically.
What was the game that save me if you can? The one game that eventually was supposedly going to connect Xbox and the PlayStation world. Ah, God.
It was probably some MMO or some
I want to say it's oh God, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah,
the 76
at some point.
Fallout. Supposedly Fallout was going to be the connection.
Maybe. Well, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. But one of the last exciting games for me, at least, was Fire Emblem Three Houses. Mm-hmm. This is actually a port from Nintendo 3DS. And they're making it bigger and better and more graphically powerful for the Nintendo Switch. I always thought that this was a game that was meant to be on the Nintendo Switch for me because it's a story, it's an RPG, and it's also tactical strategy. All those games that are on the 3DS, I've always felt like, it's a missed opportunity not to put it on a different handheld console like the Switch because it does double for both. It's a good console system and it's also a good handheld system. So why not market to both places and let people decide which ones they kind of want. At the same time, I also understand Nintendo's business model that they have the 3DS and they want to extend its livelihood because it is so popular in so many other countries as long as possible. But doing ports like this, I think, make the Switch a much more powerful and popular platformer.
Do you give it a timeline, at least in your world? How long do you give the 3DS before it's done, quote unquote?
It's still it's the best handheld system currently.
Switch.
It's very much the best handheld console system outside of like the Switch. Like the Switch is graphically better, it's more powerful, but it's also bigger and it's also it hasn't sold as many units because of the price tag. Because it's like 140, like $200 for the Switch, but you can get the Nintendo 3DS for like under 100. And so the price point also matters. So that's why you have more 3DS of them. That's why they're more popular worldwide.
Which I'm surprised it hasn't.
But this is still a very fun game, and I like the tactical aspect of it personally. I'm like, oh, that seems fun and interesting. I'm looking forward to playing it myself.
Now, what play wise, would you consider it familiar to what? Because in my world, in army battling, it would be Dynasty Warriors, but you're still as an individual running around hacking and slashing.
It's very much grid based in that it's a turn based grid based system where you have different armies coming to fight each other, and you very much choose like, oh, I'm going to fight this person to this person and this person to this person, and you're using your switch to create arrows, and it's very tactical in that spirit, as far as I've been able to tell so far. Okay, moving on to some Sony stuff. We have lots of great games there. PS4 exclusives like Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us Part 2 are all very pretty games, and we have some very great trailers for you. And there are also some other exclusive titles that we'll be showing as well that were pretty exciting. But Spider-Man, we're going to start off with. This is coming out in September. This looks pretty amazing to me. Like even like the early trailers showed off this thing, and it looked really nice. And this one, they show it off much better. I mean.
Okay, I didn't see the E3 version coverage of it, to be honest with you. I saw very, kind of highlights of it. Now, any boss battles on it?
Yes.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the boss?
They show off, several characters. Like, there's already Shocker.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm just checking him out, because I've seen versions where they made him look like a luchador with a really bad fabricated...
Yeah, this is a prison break, and so you're going to get a lot of superheroes in here.
Who's the girl?
I don't know.
Okay, no, I'm just saying it because
there's a police badge. She's a cop. There's Spider-Man.
So she's not secretly Spider-Gwen or anything like that?
Nope. I'm pretty sure she's just an Asian cop.
Okay.
But you see the gameplay for how tactical it is and how web fluidity is.
Very Super Nintendo version if you ever played that version. So yeah, okay.
People are comparing this to Batman Arkham City in that the combat system requires you to bounce around from different enemies, popping around, hitting them.
I see that.
And to me, that's not a bad thing. It's a good combat system that makes you feel powerful.
Yeah.
But also requires a little bit of tactical maneuverability, and if they add RPG elements to it. You can customize how you're going to fight, whether you're going to focus on multiple enemies or just killing one at a time or knocking them out, I should say.
Yeah.
You also see he has his spider sensibility here, and there we go. We get the Rhino.
Oh, okay. Rhino looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, this is to me is a better Rhino than the other versions.
Rhino and Shocker.
I remember the more recent version of the Rhino was a dude in a mech suit.
It was kind of
this one reminds me more of
ooh, is that Scorpion?
Of Juggernaut, in that he's a big dude with armor.
Oh, that is definitely Scorpion.
You got Scorpion. Yep.
Oh, kind of funky, but
none of these are the main villain in this movie.
Who's the main?
They showed it off in the first trailer where it's this dude who's this gangster, and he's
Kingpin?
No, he's this inverted color scheme. He's
Silvermane.
Well, he's basically black and white, but he's a reverse, a negative man, where you have a photo, but you see the negative of it and it looks all weird, the colors all switch and stuff. That's how he looks. So they'll show him towards the end of this trailer.
All right.
This trailer is more about showing you some of the things that Spider-Man can do.
Is this the part pretty much to me in my world would seem like a tutorial to get familiar with the controls / functions?
I think this is probably a little bit more into it than that because he's already doing a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. Okay. Now. Electro, obviously, it doesn't look like the luchador with the electric logo. Obviously, now we're seeing Vulture on there, and it's cool.
You get a lot of the Sinister Six here.
Yeah, don't expect the comic book version / movie version of the. There you go, Negative Man.
That's what I said, Negative Man. I don't know if that's his real name or not, but that's what I'm going to be calling him.
Okay, so I'm seeing Rhino, Vulture, and Scorpion / Negative Man.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So, like I said, Sinister Six. That's what I'm thinking is going to be a thing here at some point.
Yeah. Okay, they look good. Okay, I'm not knocking on the characters look wise. The play looks good so far.
Yeah, and a lot of that's actual gameplay footage. So
yeah, because my biggest thing when it comes in the world of a Spider-Man, especially because let's put it out there, it's all about licensing. With the Venom movie that's coming out, who knows if we'll see Venom.
I mean, they're not going to have. I mean, they may have Venom in the game, but it's not going to be tied directly to that particular. They've said before that this game is not tied to any of the movies. It's going to be its own independent thing. That's why the costume looks different.
Yes, because I honestly can picture of a white spider emblem, if you will, on a Spider-Man character. That to me seems
right. And so this is Last of Us Part 2. If you've never seen the first Last of Us game, it's a zombie-ish post-apocalyptic world where the zombie viruses turn people into like these plant head kind of creatures with mushrooms.
Okay.
And they're just these survivor groups, and she's the main character from the first one, and she's older now. She's about 10 years older. The big thing about this producer was that she gets her lesbian kiss scene, and where it's lesbian. She's gay.
Oh, okay.
The main character.
Okay. All right. Not knocking on the gay part, but I'm gonna call for an intermediate pause or whatnot because my bladder is hurting.
You can go bladder, and we'll watch this, man.
I'll come back.
It's fine. Yeah. You go bladder, man. But yeah, you see like a guy hitting on her with throwing closed captioning, but it's very apocalyptic, and you get the movie kiss, and it's very cute. But then we get into actual footage of gameplay, where Ellie's kind of a badass, and she's murdering people. Got tools, and it's a choice of like what you're going to be doing, and a lot of this is dark and storyline driven. And to me, that's kind of the best part of this particular franchise. I only hope that they've improved the combat system a little bit. That was kind of the negative of the first game, was that the combat system wasn't great. Like the story is amazing, it really is. It's a good storyline, but the combat system is just a little awkward. And it's really not the best, but that's fine. Combat systems can be improved, and hopefully that's going to be the case here. So that was a great trailer for me personally. And then Ghost of Tsunami is it Tsushima? I don't know. Could be both. But this is the last trailer for that as well. And so this is a action game set in Japan where the main character is a samurai who comes back twice. So there we go. We actually get some footage of him going through lots of good scenes, very vivid, very like feely world, and you get some nice battles. And so this was again another one of those PlayStation exclusives for the show. And he's so there we go. So we get some good combat action footage.
I saw some of this coverage, and this is me coming back. Okay. Which was kind of funny to me because I'm a basic cable kind of guy, and actually Disney XD covered quite a bit of the E3 coverage of it, and they showed actually this game, and it looks to me at least like a rated M game.
Oh yeah, you have people cutting off their arms, blood everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it did some coverage on it, being Disney. So it did give you a little bit of look of what's going on in the E3 world.
It's a very brutal game.
Sadly,
it reminds me of that's sort of like Samurai Jack and some like a darker version of that, or like Afro Samurai.
Yeah,
honestly, where the brutality is part of the storyline.
Yeah, because one game that I'm surprised that has a reboot / remake, which I'm hopefully might cover when we get there eventually, is like Tenchu. You ever play Tenchu?
I don't recall if I have or not.
It was for the PS1 system. It was very science stealth ninja techniques, where you literally would hide behind the villain, and if you're lucky, you sneak behind him and you slit their throat. Or
so it's a little more. Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. Now this one is Anthem. Anthem is I want to say from Bethesda. I'll check it out later, but it's a good game. It's from, let me see where it comes from. It's from somewhere. I think it might be E3 or whatever it is. But it's a sci-fi action.
EA. Okay, cool.
Yeah, EA. That's what it was. Not E3. EA. And BioWare. That's the big company. That's more well known.
Did that game ever come out? The
Frostbite
one where
Studios.
It's supposedly that orb that goes into like
nope, not out yet.
Ones.
I don't think it's been out yet. No.
Really, not yet.
Well, no, these games take years. Like this, you're not going to see this game for a couple years at most.
Really, years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, most of the games that they showed off, like the soonest they're coming out is February 2019, and most of them are coming out like 2020.
It's like I want to say sad tempt. Like, oh, look what we're coming out with, but you're not going to be able to play it for a while, quote unquote, while it being years.
Yeah. And this is just them getting teasers and getting people excited about a game they're not going to play for a while.
So it looks like Exo
in the attempt of like, outfits. Maybe doing pre-orders or something. But like exosuits, you have different kinds of exosuits where they're fighting. There's another game that's a free-to-play game where it's kind of the same concept where you're just in a suit and you have different powers and abilities based on that. This one also feels like an RPG though because of course you have numbers and damage modifiers, which means like each suit is going to be doing different weapon damages, which usually indicates, you can change out your weapon loads, you can change out your abilities to do different things. Like this mech here is kind of the big tank one. He seems to have like rocket powers. There's another one that's a little more stealthy. This one here, who does like range damage more, but it's also more lightly armored.
Any crazy, at least from what you've seen, crazy big boss battle modes?
There are a few. Like this one was, like we saw a couple here. Like it's very slow getting on the side of Gears of War action-y kind of side of things. This is very action oriented, like the other ones are as well. So
now, to the best of your knowledge, all consoles or specific console for this game?
This is going to be on the PS4 and the Xbox 360 or Xbox One, I should say.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm honestly seeing.
I don't know if it's going to be on the PC though.
Yeah, for a lot of games that you'd see on the Xbox/PS4 console. I
think there are a few that Xbox One has that are exclusives, but most of them aren't. Yeah, and this is definitely not one of them. That's why it's from BioWare. And
BioWare.
Yeah, okay. BioWare is the people who did Knights of the Republic. That's a great franchise.
I think they did Gears, right?
I'm not
100% sure.
Nope, I don't think they did Gears. But we're gonna have a new Gears game, so that's the thing to talk about too. But before we get there, we're gonna go with Cyberpunk 2077. Now this one looks pretty amazing. If you've played The Witcher, it's the same game company that made The Witcher, but they're making this as a Cyberpunk game.
Okay, I want to familiarize myself with this game, but I'm confusing it. I can't think of the name to save my life.
Blade Runner 2044 or something?
No.
Okay.
It
has a similar vibe to Blade Runner, to be honest.
Well, it was this game where you could hack systems. So
that might be a part of this game.
No, well, not
but it's a lot of Cyberpunk games have like similar themes like that. But this is definitely like one of those. Like this is definitely like video footage that's been doctored. Obviously, it's not like gameplay footage. But they're showing you like a lot of different themes about what the world is like.
Quote unquote future.
Yeah, I mean, people with mods. It's a violent world. It's set in like this fancy city with robotics and everything. Yeah. Androids. I think this one was the coolest.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just realized she didn't have a mouth.
Yep. It's a very cybernetic head. And then this is our hero, who's actiony, and you have robotics, and you have a bunch of other things, and it's like I said, it's a very interesting world.
Hillbilly tech.
Yeah, and if you played The Witcher, you know that storyline and that world is very full, and there are a lot of different interesting, like just small little stories that you can choose to play or not, like as like a little quest, but you don't have to to do it for the main storyline.
That's the part about
if this does that's a great way to storytell and to create a very nice, expansive like kind of universe and world to plan.
I was tripped out in the world of post-apocalyptic / futuristic world of like what their, and I say quote unquote their version of what the future might be, being where the whole AI takes over, or the whole manipulation of technology to advance the individuals of it to being at their corporate, political, what have you. On the
they're usually semi-dystopian worlds. Like the world is very different, and there are lots of like places to like pull from. But like, this one is a different game. It's called Shikiro: Shadows Die Twice. It's about a samurai who lost his left arm, but it has replaced with like almost a not cybernetic, but like this artificial limb that works also like a grappling hook. And so he can do some very interesting
Riker
things.
Style?
Sort of. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say Riker.
Yeah, but he it's very like medieval based, so swords and stuff, sneaking. So it's a very interesting feudal kind of world, and so there's assassinations, but there's also like mythical monsters to fight.
Because I played.
So he also gets like weird like combat abilities.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Inuyasha?
I don't think I did.
By Capcom.
No.
It was the whole concept of the enchanted gauntlet, where she would absorb souls, and eventually, when she absorbed so many souls, you would upgrade or whatnot and get an advanced version of that version of the Gauntlet. So it looks cool. I like it. Was this made by Games? Oh no, that's
the company that's showing it.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay, it looks good.
Yeah.
I like it. Like I'm more of a fan of the Unimusha style one. They even eventually
This one just kind of feels like a Japanese version of like God of War. And that, like, there's a ton of combat, there's kind of like upgrade abilities, but it's also very themed to like a very specific culture. But it's also again action oriented.
Yeah.
This one is just like the weirdest one, Death Stranding. This was, I believe, it's created by, Hideo Kojima, who does the Metal Gear games.
Oh, okay. This is the one that I like freaked out because
This is just
literally
weird.
an infant.
Yeah, this is just one of those weird games, and it has the guy. He has Norman
In weird
Reedus.
games, what do you feel is a weird game? Cause
No, this is like all these trailers for this game have been really weird.
now is this because right now, before I'm seeing any further details, is this the guy from
The Walking Dead.
Thank you.
Yeah, Norman Reedus.
Okay. Because I saw a still, if not a picture / statue, where he literally had in the world of oddities, if you will. It's called the Pickles Punk, where it had a infant / embryo.
Yeah, on the chest.
In a jar.
It's a live child.
Yes, that's the part that made it even freakier.
It wasn't like it was like a dead baby or like he's
Exactly.
pickled.
Yeah, who cares?
It's
around a dead baby?
a kid, and that's part of what makes this weird. And that there's these weird aliens, and as he's going, it looks like it might be like some kind of survival game.
Yes, because eventually, right now we're showing the kind of the first parts of the preview of him surviving / regenerating / going through whatever.
Like we don't know actually where this comes into like the story.
Exactly. But then there you go. You see him carrying a dead, my world, a dead body, if not / body, and who knows what it is.
This was very exploration based, and it's just like I said, it's weird to anybody who sees these trailers. Everybody agrees this is kind of a weird game, and
okay.
For some of us, it gets that excited about it. Like, oh, if it's weird, that means it's different. There might be some new gameplay elements. There might be some new weird, interesting storylines. But it's definitely high production.
Because you remember the last E3 when it was just a trailer / sneak peek when they showed him and he was literally butt naked, and it was just like him rising into a land, and he couldn't, didn't know what was going on, whatever. But that was literally the trailer.
Yeah, this is actual gameplay footage though. So I'm excited to actually see gameplay footage instead of it just being like a cinematographic trailer. That to me is much better.
I haven't watched the whole series, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of please correct me. I don't want to say Land of the Lost, but Space something. It's right now on Netflix. Please correct me. I know you've seen it with Robbie the Robot version that a lot of people assumed it was, even though it was a robot, it was really physically attracted to, and I'm going that route just because of hype and whatnot. Lost in Space. Thank you. Lost in Space.
That's it. And they saw this with Need a Finger, I think.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the girl from like Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Once again, I haven't played. Well, obviously the game hasn't come out, so I've only could only go off of the trailers that they showed off.
And Lindsay Wagner.
And because you're thinking of the guy from Walking Dead in a futuristic Lost in Space version concept, and you got, what was her name?
Oh, there's just some girls. I don't know what their names are. One of the people looked like she was the girl from Game of Thrones. She's also in Sherlock as Moriarty.
Yeah, and it's established a quote-unquote storyline to go off with that game, because it's not like all the other games.
We have no idea what
boss mode.
We have no idea what Death Stranding's storyline is.
Honestly,
nobody knows, and that's fine.
The trailer. I'm talking about even the teaser.
Yeah, it just looks funny and interesting. Onto Microsoft, Kingdom Hearts 3 again was announced for Microsoft. Not going to be a Sony exclusive. It'll be out in I want to say January. January 29th, so not that too far. So, but the other games that are more exclusive to it include Halo Infinity. So you're going to get a new Halo game, if that is exciting to you.
Honestly, it didn't surprise me because they need to figure out a way to cash in on Master Chief. Because as many series, if not versions of the Halo you could cover, he's literally a cash cow. You need to figure out how to make money off this dude. At least for the Kingdom Hearts series, they covered a lot of series between the most recent version would be Rapunzel / Frozen, and even Ratatouille. So you're literally covering the Disney / Pixar franchises. They haven't really covered the Marvel version. And if you've been watching the trailers that have been coming out, Wreck-It Ralph has covered the Marvel / Star Wars franchises that will be coming out later on this year. But for Halo Infinite, I'm not a Halo guy. But okay, it's cool, whatnot. But
I feel like this is Stargate Halo. That's that's what it feels like to me.
Okay, because I'm
they're going to different
in that world.
They're doing different alien planets. They're exploring different things, and it's a callback to like an older franchise. I don't think we need a new Halo game personally. I think that's a dead franchise to me. But I understand that they see value in it and they want.
Yes, because
you
so that's
fine.
Found something that works for you. But
next we have Crackdown 3. This is again more of a fun actiony kind of game where it's about blowing stuff up.
And very pop culture-y from what I've known, because they invested everything a lot from what's going on in the modern world, but
it doesn't take itself serious. It's very superhero-ish.
I've never played it.
It's about killing stuff, and it's very like jumping around Power AP thing, and that's.
Have you ever played it?
No, I've seen. I think I played a demo once.
Did you?
Yeah, and again, it's just mostly about shooting stuff, and there's kind of a storyline. But if you're either a fan of it or you're not.
Okay.
Metro Exodus to me is more exciting. This is
Metro is, it's one of those series that's been around obviously for especially if you're a child of the 80s, you want to know what's there more to it. How did she get the suit? Where did the suit come from?
No, not Metroid. Metro.
Oh, Metro.
Yeah,
sorry.
Not the same thing. That's a Nintendo franchise.
Let's talk Metro.
Metro it's a Russian game. It's based on a Russian story, I should say. It's an RPG. It's set in like a post-apocalyptic future, but it's a more darker, more realistic version of it. You know how Fallout is?
Okay, darker version of what?
Oh, Fallout. Like
Fallout?
Yeah, Fallout. Well, in that it's post-apocalyptic in that, and people are like scrounging for resources. It's more resource management.
We're not talking emo goth.
It's more dark Russian.
What's dark Russian?
In that dark Russian is like, people are dying left and right. People are starving.
Chernobyl.
Sort of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that kind of like dark storylines of like, people are prostitutes and people have resource management. It's more of a realistic version of Fallout. Like, there's no cartooniness here at all. There's no like weird like laser stuff necessarily. Like everything's really went down in like a really more realistic way.
In my mind, I'm thinking Rammstein, Du Hast.
Yeah, and so like the exploration portion of this was like, in other games was like very much underground, going through different holes and tunnels.
No
religious killing monsters.
Just like survival tech stuff.
Survivalish tech, yeah. But it's also like you can upgrade your equipment, and you see like there's no UI elements here. Like there's no health bars here. You notice on any of the things, right? Yeah. Everything as far as like the UI goes is like on his wrist. Like if you look at the wrist on the character, you see his health, the amount of ammo, and so if you want to look at it,
quote unquote Pip-Boy.
Not really a Pip-Boy as much as like they're minimizing the distractions from the larger game world, and so that UI minimalization kind of gives you a different feel for this. Like I said, it feels very dark and heavy and broody, which is very much in like a Russian kind of novelistic culture stuff.
Backwards R.
I don't know. I'm just saying, but also like there are monsters and radioactive creatures, so it's comparable to like the Fallout game series, except that it's again more realistic and more just more like based. Like there's still monsters and stuff.
Going from the video alone is like, okay, I'm seeing like bat-like creatures.
Yeah, but there's also like more finite ammo. Like if your gun runs out of ammo, you don't just get a recharge unless you've like scrounged or made it recently.
Okay. I'm noticing that from the creatures that I saw. I'm gonna say troll-esque.
No, yeah, they're variations on fantasy monsters.
Because it's not going through like the big version where it's like a combination. Like I have a cybernetic arm kind of thing.
No, but like they're also at the same time you can upgrade your equipment so that it does use weapons or uses explosives or whatever. Okay. But again, it's also an RPG system. But it's also resource management. So like, there's a lot of different like interesting things there in that particular game series.
Don't waste your basic ammo, and you can.
Yeah, and ammo is also a trade commodity, so you can trade it for other things like different ammo or different clothing and different weapons and upgrades. Okay, cool. Yeah. So there you go.
Now the Gears, I've heard there's like 3 versions of the versions of it coming out. There's the Pop Vinyl, that's the mobile game version. There's the console version, and then there's something else. I can't think.
I don't know. I've only seen this particular trailer. I'm not a big Gears of War player. I'm never really into action.
I played it.
Games.
Honestly, you're not missing out.
Yeah, I played it. And it's just kill things and move on. Like the storyline isn't too complicated. It's very
like you can either shoot it or saw it. There's a curse word involved or not. Then you go on. That's it.
Yeah, and it's very, like I said, it's a. If you look at, you can look online and you can actually see a cut version of the trailers for all the first 4 games, where they're all kind of combined, or at least cut for the versions of the game. And so the storyline isn't horrible. It's just like it's a very simple concept. Like, you're saving the world from the evil alien monsters, and there you go.
No, you're bad. But I'm good. I'm gonna kill you.
But it's like, that's what it is. It's a shooter.
Supposedly there's going to be a movie version of this, but honestly, if they were to make a movie version
it would be better than Doom. Remember the Doom?
There you go. Thank you.
The Doom game, that Doom movie version was horrible because there really isn't a storyline.
Even with The Rock.
Yeah, but Gears at least has it has some emotional moments where main characters die off. Like they sacrifice themselves for the good of humanity. Like characters you have played for 4 other games. So there are some decent storylines there. Next up is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. This is actually a very cute game. It's a side scroller, but you can see there's a very Stitch kind of character, and it's a very more kids friendly popping out. But the actual gameplay mechanics are very interesting. Yeah, it's a very robust system.
There's been games similar to it, like Ori and some other ones, where it's honestly it's the environment that makes the game because it looks. It intrigues you to the point that you want to see where is he gonna go?
Yeah,
and what's that world gonna look like?
If you played Ori and the Blind Forest, this is the sequel to that game. So there you go. Fun characters, interesting looking worlds, interesting gameplay mechanics. It's very much platformy, but also action and combat. But it's a more simple 2D system, and for some people that's very appealing.
It does look like, as you say, the Stitch/Wisp version of you ever seen a Brave kind of character?
Yeah, something in between. But there's also stylized artwork that makes this world feel very interesting.
Yeah, because there's a different. I don't know. Did you ever play Oni? I always wanted to play Oni, but never played Oni.
I mean the first one, Oni and the Forest one.
Any of them, Oni?
No.
The one with it's a wolf thing that has, and this is the way I'm going to describe it, a kind of disc.
I don't know if that was called Oni, but it's a white wolf and there's a red disc, and you basically would use your Wii remote control as a paintbrush to do special combos. Yeah. I played that before. Yeah.
Oh, you played it?
It was a little hard because the controllers weren't precise enough to always do the correct movements.
Did you beat it?
No. I was a rental from Gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
Tried it out. I was like, this is fine.
That's all.
It's just not that amazing. Okay. Next up is Resident Evil 2. This is a remake of that particular game.
Yes.
So here it is. This is it's a 3-minute trailer. We're not going to watch it.
And it's longer than I thought it should be for the game. It's awesome looking at pretty much if you played Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation.
Even if you haven't played Resident Evil 2, I think this is a fine game to play as far as a survival horror.
Yes, because honestly,
kind of game, but it's a really good detailed remake, and it's not just they didn't just take the old footage and make it slightly prettier. They basically remade it in a new game engine.
Which I'm thinking they're going to do to, they actually done that to a couple of the Final Fantasy games.
Well, yeah, they're doing it for Final Fantasy 7. Yeah. Or is it, or 12 or something.
I feel they're going to do that to a majority, at least for the Final Fantasy franchise.
Yeah.
Because it looks so good. And honestly, because you obviously weren't alive during that era, that this is going to look completely new to you. But if you were to be of that era, it's going to look so good. And you're going to want to play. And if for the ones that have played it, you know where to go, where to get the bonus ammo, features, what have you. And it's going to hook you. So it's going to imagine... it's all going to imagine you for the ones that played Part 3, Part 4. Heaven forbid Part 5 and 1. I can only... How far can you involve a remake version of a game? How many times can you
until people stop buying it. That's
No,
what it
okay,
comes down
okay.
to.
There's the purchase of it.
No,
but,
no.
okay,
The only reason they're doing this is because people, some segment of the population really wants a remake, and as long as they're willing to make noise about it,
yeah.
And it's a property they already own, and they don't have to like redo a storyline. They're just redoing game mechanics and making it better, making it on a modern system.
Yeah.
Why not? It's not
What do you
like
think? Bonus levels? No bonus levels?
they might. I mean, they can't change things too much because otherwise it affects other systems and other games. But you know, this is a popular franchise, and they're classic games that
Did you ever play
people really
Resident
love.
Evil 2?
Yeah, I played it. It was
What system?
I don't
I
remember.
think it was only at the time available for the PS1 that I know of.
I don't recall. I just remember playing it. I might have like got a port of it or something.
What's your experience? Because I'm gonna real quick.
Those are. I mean, I think I played it when it was after I was already done. Like there are other modern versions of it. So to me, it felt a little janky, as far as like the controllers go and like the graphics, of course. But like it was fine. It's a decent storyline. I liked some of the later
You didn't
ones,
freak
but again,
out
they're,
on any part?
no, again, because the graphics already look kind of not amazing. By
Really?
the time I got to it, yeah, it was like I said. I believe it was a port to the older game. Like I was playing it on like a PS3, and so like it was like here's a PS1 game playing on a PS3 with the same graphics. So I was like,
Yeah, I
that's
understand that part.
you know what I mean. And so like the controls are, but the controls for that system, that game franchise have always been a little awkward, and that's part of its charm because it's making the zombie apocalypse challenging, and that you're not a running gun game. You're a resource management game. You're not supposed to shoot your way out of everything and be able to, unless you prepared in advance. Like it's supposed to be challenging and scary, and you're not always supposed to be able to beat the bad guy unless you do specific things. That's part of it.
My version was, here's a quick clip note story.
Sure.
Was playing it late night at my friend's house, playing this game by myself.
Well, that was a mistake. We're going.
Playing it by myself?
Yeah.
You had friends with you when you played it?
Late at night by yourself? I played during the day, yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's how I view it when it comes to the world of horror movies. But I played Resident Evil 2 by myself. And there was that scene, of course, when you walk down the hallway, and out of nowhere, bam! These arms come out trying to reach at you, and of course, you're like, oh, freak out, and all that kind of stuff.
It would be better in VR if you were doing that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, there
definitely.
are definitely plenty of editions of that. Like there was a version of Aliens where it was specifically, it wasn't made for the virtual reality system, but it was adapted for it because it was a survival horror game with the Aliens franchise thing where you can't kill the aliens.
Now the VR system,
and you're just trying to escape from the station that they've invaded on.
Now the VR system version, are they their own independent license?
It was an adaptation of that particular game, but you would.
But it wasn't like Nintendo's version, or
no. It was for like a full-on virtual reality system.
Okay.
It was like I said, it was an adapted game, but you still you could see your hands and you could run around basically and capture things. And the game itself was already set up as a survival horror game, and adding VR just made it super extra scary and horrible because you had your headphones on, it was surround sound. And so all those different small elements came into play as far as being super scary and fully immersive
at any time.
Oh yeah, very much. It was. I mean, in just regular virtual reality,
did you sleep well?
There's a lot of jump scares. Even I remember doing this as a sub teacher, taking the Gear VR with me and having kids put it on, doing one of those Ocean Explorer games.
How old were you at the time?
Where there were. This was a few years ago when I was an adult using Gear VR, which is the mobile version.
Yeah, okay, that part I understand.
And as a sub, I would let the kids do it, and they would always jump when the shark came underneath them.
How old were they?
They were elementary school, junior high school sometimes. Teens. But everybody was very scared, or it was just a jump reaction because their bodies were reacting to the stimulus of oh, this is a thing I didn't see was there, and it's kind of scary. And now it's a really jinky version of it. So the alien version of it was 10 times worse.
Oh yeah. Oh,
and next up is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So this is the sequel to the more recent reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise with young Lara Croft. You might have seen the more recent movie, which actually did a really good faithful adaptation of that particular video game. No, but even if you look at the trailers, you can see that they
spent some money on
it. They took the effort to do it. They kept her look very specific. They chose an actress who had a very similar look. The costume was on spot for that particular character, and they also even had yellow ledges.
Obviously, they in the Angelina Jolie
in the movie. No, but that's not this character. That's older Lara Croft. This is young Lara Croft.
Wait, okay.
This is the young version of it. And so for the movie version of the more recent reboot, it's supposed to be the young girl version who's
but they kept thinner. The accent.
Well, she's a British character, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they kept the accent in it. And so this one's supposed to be a more gritty version of Lara Croft, where she's like in the jungle. She's doing like some Rambo Predator kind of murders and kills.
But it seems very much like the tutorial version of a game when you first start playing it.
Well, you usually do a tutorial of the beginning of any game, but you also see like the wooden bow she's made herself, and she's shanking some dude in the middle of the night.
Okay, it's pretty dark.
Doing a stealth kill.
Contrast-wise, I can't tell what's going on.
So yeah, she's definitely getting like doing Predator style murder things.
She's not covering herself in mud and hiding and hugging a tree.
See, even have like her like looking at dudes in like red, like say,
thermal kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
And so like the stealth mechanics are there. So.
Even the little like CG where they showed that guy.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also have like puzzles and like traditional Lara Croft stuff. But they're switching up the modes of the franchise where it's not just like adventuring and like puzzle solving.
You played the any
Tomb Raider stuff. Yeah, I played the original Tomb Raider series
on PS1.
I like these games better. No, I think I had an Xbox at the time. But these last two games of hers were a lot of games have gone like RPG-ish, where they have RPG game mechanics where you can like as you kill or as you do things,
add one arm and the other arm.
You can increase the character's abilities in a certain way, like whether it's stealth or action or crafting or whatever it is.
No magics?
No, I mean, not yet. I mean, it depends on the game, but like none of these ones. So, and then we have stuff from Square Enix. We have a Shadow of Tomb Raider, which you just saw. We also have Kingdom Hearts. They showed off a couple more of their worlds. The Frozen Kingdom.
I'm just letting them play because I could ramble on as much as I want on the world of Kingdom Hearts. So they covered the Frozen world.
Yeah, so they showed two
Pirates
more.
Of the Caribbean.
Now is the other video.
They did include the Pixar world, at least as far as the Pixar world, the world of Toy Story.
Well, they'd shown that in earlier trailers too, so they didn't focus on that as much. But they do go back to it and show.
So it's very similar to the Pixar. Excuse me. It's not even Pixar. It's actually Disney. The storyline of the Frozen world of Elsa getting her powers and not having to wanting to damage, if not hurt, her world.
And they're comboing. Like there's the Lion King. And
exactly. So we're going to see what's going to go through.
Wreck-It Ralph.
It does hit Wreck-It Ralph. Now,
there's
okay. This right now,
Rapunzel.
we're gonna time stamp it at where we're at right now. It's 2000. What year?
18.
I'm all gonna say it because I'm under the influence.
2018. Oh yeah.
2018. June. Wreck-It Ralph 2 will be coming out eventually this year.
Yeah.
In the world of the theatrical world, they'll eventually be talking about a lot of the Disney princesses and all that. But of course, the whole legalities of one. We're talking about the E3 world. It will be talking about the Frozen world of Elsa and Anna, and Sven and Kristoff and all that. So it's going to tap so much about it, at least, and it will be multi-platform, which will be available to the Xbox One, the PS4. Now, I haven't heard any word about the Nintendo Switch. But it has evolved in the texture, if not the how would I describe it, as the detailed
graphics.
Graphics. There we go. Thank you. Of like, and right now the video that we're showing, the Pirates of the Caribbean. Hey baby. Right now of Pirates of the Caribbean. Hey baby. That's my little one running around. Yes, for a third time. That's her. So it looks really good. It's not going to be very simple, real PS2 version where it's very Nintendo 60. Yes, I love you.
There we go. So so Kingdom Hearts 3 is definitely coming out.
So it looks good. They are involving the Pixar world, so you're going to see the toys, quote unquote, franchise. You're going to see Wreck-It Ralph. You're going to see Elsa, which honestly, that's
interesting. I'm interested in that they're incorporating new stuff, of course. Yeah. But it's a fun game. It'll be out in January 2019, which is relatively soon to a lot of other games that are coming out. So definitely look forward to playing it on your system. I don't plan to buy it. I was never that in Kingdom Hearts, but I know you are. So
a little bit of ways because I am the one that did have played the Kingdom Hearts, the original Kingdom Hearts 2. I played the Nintendo DS version of the Dream
2.5.
Yeah. And I have not played the PS3 version.
Yeah.
Which I'm very tempted, or else I would have picked up the PS4. What's the current version? 4 version of the.
Yeah. So
what they call it, the combination /
yeah, the other one.
whatever.
I remember. Yeah.
But I would have picked those up myself first, but I don't think I'm going to see now. I'm glad that it's coming out for the Xbox, which it was a little bit debate.
Yeah, because I think you were like planning to buy a PS4 if it hadn't, so it saves you like $400.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing. It cost $300 to get the console itself, $60 to get the game itself. Now, if I wanted to get the additional combination packs, that would have been. I'm gonna just throw out a number out there: $60 itself.
Yeah,
which.
So this is fine. This is a much better option for you. So now some other games that came out, Ubisoft made an announcement. They showed off a trailer for a much older game that's getting a reboot called Good and Evil, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now this is a very cinematic trailer, but it does show kind of some of the characters and the fantasy sci-fi elements of it. So this is very much a set into the futures, like space elements, but you also have like fantasy elements of like pig people.
I'm sorry, pit people?
Pig people. See, there you go.
Pig, P-I-G?
P-I-G. There's a monkey guy. I've never played the first game, but the trailer looks interesting. Fun characters, fun graphics. Looks like it's an interesting like storyline to me.
Other than the chick that looks like Domino from Deadpool 2, other than the quote-unquote P-I-G people, is there something more that I'm missing out on?
I want to say it's like a plane of like it's a play on like the a Chinese story like the 10 Monkeys or something. Like it's supposed to be like a rendition of that kind of theme, but it's supposed to be a fun science fiction action game or something.
So is he cooking, or what's the deal with him in that little spice bottle?
No idea. But again, this is like space.
Okay, now I see a monkey.
Yeah, I told you. And there are different alien races that have like animal bases to them.
Is this the whole Year of kind of franchise?
I don't know. Like I said, I want to say that it's kind of taking like a Chinese theme of like the Tales of the Monkey and like expanding it into like the sci-fi universe. But again, you see like some very big
whatsoever to
sci-fi actions
kind of stuff.
No, not at all.
So looks good.
Very sci-fi actiony stuff there.
Yeah.
A lot of people were excited about that. If you're like slightly older and you played the first game, it's one of those like sequels that's been like 15, 20 years in the making.
Wow.
That kind of thing. So like, okay. Now Bethesda
very patient.
Made a couple announcements as well. They were very interesting. These are all games that are going to be on multiple platforms, so you don't have to worry about seeing it. But the first one is going to be Rage 2. Rage 1 kind of sucked. Especially
what console was it on?
It was on all of them. Xbox and PlayStation. It's a shooter game, but it also had like this terrible driving system. I think that was the thing that dragged it down the most,
Yeah.
Was their driving system where you had to drive everywhere, and that was part of the system where like you were fighting and killing, but also you just had to drive everywhere, and the driving kind of sucked. It ruined it.
What does it mean by drive in your?
You were in like a buggy. You were driving in a buggy.
Oh, like literally, yeah. Okay.
Like in a car,
a vehicle,
in a vehicle, driving.
Okay.
And it was just a bad system.
Because I'm just seeing this, and this guy walking.
See, there you go.
Walking,
yeah. So they're basically emphasizing in this particular trailer that there's more to it than just like than the driving system. Okay. The driving is very much a part of this game, and that you have weapons on your car, and to get places, like to make the world feel big and expansive, you drive everywhere basically.
Okay.
That also includes like other raiders, other people in their own vehicles, trying to murder you and having combat that way. And if they don't get that right, this game is gonna suck too, at least to me. You see, like, there are plenty of weapon systems on their cars, rockets, and your cars are customizable.
So it's one of those you can involve the armor / the weaponry.
But that's only like part of the game. The other part is more like a Fallout game where you're shooting things and you're murdering things and you're going on quest to get resources to like
which means you're
do upgrades.
Individual or running around, walking around.
Their idea was to make like Mad Max as a cool game. That was kind of their idea. You know what I mean?
I see it.
Which is why you have the car thing basically. And so the first game didn't work for me, but maybe this one will. Like, they definitely improved, I think, their shooting mechanics of this game. They have better weapons, that's for sure. Like the older Rage game, they had like old jinky weapons, like single shooter shotguns, double barreled, but also like a lot of like knife fighting work. And these weapons are definitely a little more like modern.
Knife fighting as in hack and slash.
Yeah. Yeah, like that was like if you ran out of bullets, which were sometimes kind of rare, you would have to go back to like knives or swords or whatever.
I'm gonna throw it out there, so it's a better looking Doom.
Sorta, but it's also set on like a deserty post-apocalyptic world. So you have
Mad
several.
Max Doom.
That's the idea. They were supposed to be like Mad Max, basically, except that they don't have the IP, so they called it Rage. Next one is going to be Doom Eternal, so we're actually going to get a new Doom game. Speaking of which, from Bethesda. So here we go.
I'm going to watch this as long as I be able to get a drink.
Sure.
All right, cool graphic.
Yeah, Hellscape. So you have a hellscape in Earth, and you have plenty of things to murder. Doom. I mean, the most recent Doom game wasn't horrible to play.
So far, it looks like a title sequence. That's all that looks like to me.
Yeah, but I mean, Doom is basically your classic shooter. That's all it's ever been. That's all it's ever needed to be, as far as like being an entertaining game. As long as the shooting has been fun.
Honestly,
it's been fun. Like the last Doom game, if you played it, it's actually on the Switch. Yeah. If you want to play it there, like, but it's actually fun. Like even if you just play the demo. It's challenging, but it's also like really simple. It's like you have orbs, you have health orbs, you have ammo orbs, and you murder shit, and that's all you need.
Now, between Doom and Wolfenstein, has Wolfenstein made an effort whatsoever?
Yeah, there's a new Wolfenstein game that's going to come out.
Not this year.
It's probably going to be 2020.
Okay.
But it's played. I mean, there has been a more recent Wolfenstein, like in the last like year or so. That was very fun and popular for a lot of people. I'm just not into shooters, so I haven't played all these games. But you can find them on the Xbox One.
Okay.
Next one is going to be Fallout 76. If you're into the Fallout franchise, this is definitely something that's interesting for you. Now, this is going to be an online cooperative game, so it's not a single player anymore.
Mobile, or just you had to play it on your console?
It's a console game, but it's also online requirement. Because you're going to have other people interacting in the same world. So it's not just a single-player campaign anymore, which is what the other Fallout games are. You're still going to have aspects of the same Fallout games where you're like resource management, upgrading equipments, armor kind of stuff, maybe like building forts and settlements still. But you're also going to have other players, and which means you're going to be murdering other people. And other people are going to play better than you or play worse than you and have different equipments. You see, it's a muzzle-loaded... gun right there, but you also see you're getting
the Pip-Boy.
Essentially coins from murdering them, which means that you can upgrade items. These are for caps, which is their money in the games. But at the same time,
of war.
It's also going to be like cooperative playing. Yeah,
that happens.
So it's going to be kind of like this MMO, in a respect. So Fallout as an MMO, you can play together, you can play against each other. And I'm kind of curious to see how it ends up being.
It's not a race thing.
So yeah, people are kind of either they like it or they don't, and there's not much middle ground.
I see, because honestly, there's no points, if not features, if you select a person of a darker skin tone or whatnot to get into that game. It's a survival tactic, no matter who you are.
Doesn't care. Yeah, there are different factions in the game from the last Fallout game, so we'll have to see how that goes. This is supposed to be set up before any of those other games, so it's actually supposed to be set like right after the bombs fell or something. So we'll have to see how that turns out.
Now, Elder Scrolls.
And this was just an announcement trailer. It was very cinematic. Elder Scrolls 6.
Okay.
It's in development. There's no news on when it's actually going to come out, ladies and gentlemen, but it's supposed to be Elder Scrolls 6. It's real. It's there. It's supposed to be like a big, expansive world, obviously, but I like Elder Scrolls 5. It was fun. I like number 4 as well. I like Morrowind. These were all fun games, so I'm happy to see that this one's coming out. This might actually, some people are hypothesizing that this is actually going to be developed for the next-gen consoles, which are expected to come out somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2020, 2022.
Wow.
So
take advantage of it if it comes out anytime recently.
Yeah. So there you go. That's it, folks. Those are all the fun games that I saw that I love personally. Feel free to drop it in the show notes if there's anything that you want us to cover, any trailers you want us to see. But for the show, that's kind of it. Thanks for hanging out with us, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, if you want to support the podcast in any way, shape, or form, you can always find out all the ways to do so at
Bytes podcast.com/support.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening and for watching. Happy Father's Day to anybody who happened to be listening live today on Facebook. We're streaming this live, or if you're listening on the rebroadcast or on anywhere else. Thanks for hanging out. For Geek Bytes Podcast, though, I am Ramon Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And remember, folks, to meeting on again, remember to go geek out about something. See you later, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.
Night.